Monster Hunter Rise launched on PC just under 6 weeks ago, if you can believe that. Just about 5 weeks ago, I made a video about the first steps the modding community were making with, of course, the bizarre but deeply traditional Thomas the Tank Engine mod, amongst a few others. But of course, Thomas was the flagship for Chits and Giggles experiment. But now, as modders dig deeper into the game, we've moved past the simple proof of concept stuff and into some more practical and deeply desirable stuff that I, and I've no doubt many other players, have been waiting for. And no, I do not mean the micro bikini mod, or any of the other super horny mods. Goddamn gamers are a horny bunch of misfits, aren't you? There's already a pile of mods just like this for various skimpy outfits or new tighter fitting, more revealing versions of existing armor, or just flat out nude mods. But before we move on to the proper serious stuff, you know what I love best about these kinds of mods? The ones where they put physics in. Because people who have clearly never seen a pair of real boobs try to include the physics of boobs onto the digital boobs, and I promise you this is not how boobs move. Funny though, there's a male nudity one too, just in case you're more of a sausage lover than a blancmange lover. I still haven't tried that one yet, partly because my PC hunter character is of the feminine body type, and partly because I fear if they included dong physics, I'd laugh so hard I might pass out and crack my head on the edge of my desk on my way to the floor because, well, you know, those of you who've ever seen a flaccid dong in motion while someone's jogging or something, it's funny. It's comedy. It doesn't look right. But no, aside from the horny/funny mods, there's now some real nice stuff hitting the mod scene. Stuff I've been really hoping would be a native inclusion in the PC port since long before it launched. Stuff I'm still hoping will be included in the massive DLC expansion pack Sunbreak coming in a fistful of months. Capcom, please be paying attention to what's popular here. First, and frankly my most desired mod, the Adjustable UI Scale mod. This mod does what it says on the tin. It does exactly what you'd expect it to. It gives you a pretty fine-grained control over both scaled and relatively limited, but useful control over the positioning and alignment of various UI elements. While you can't freeform move elements around to the other side of the screen or whatnot, you can shift them about a bit to your liking, and of course you have full control over their scale. Well, I say full control. I mean anything smaller than default, really. You can't make it bigger, but then again, why would you want to? The reason I wanted this mod is because they're too big. For almost every element, I've been scaling it down to about 60%, and it works quite nicely for me running at 4K here. And since launch, I've been playing in the relatively lovely faked ultra-wide mode the game allows regular 16:9 screens to use. I've loved the extra expansive feeling, but mostly I was playing that way because it gets the UI out of my way more. It moves it to the edge of the screen and leaves more in the center of the actual monster hunt. Well, now I can do that and go back to the 16:9 to make actual full use of every pixel on my screen again without sacrificing the cleaner, more open view of the action in the middle. That's real nice. I've been saying since literally day one on Switch launch near 11 months ago now that the UI was just too big, too intrusive. And while they have given us fantastic control to turn individual elements on or off in a really nicely fine-grained way, I'd have preferred to be able to scale the elements, thank you very much. And that sentiment only became more true on PC while playing in 4K. It just made the UI feel even larger somehow, as it didn't even scale with the resolution properly. But now, with this mod, that's solved, on PC at least. I hope Capcom implements something like this in Sunbreak, albeit likely in a more simplified way, perhaps just a few preset scaling options, like 60% or 70% or something, I don't know. Next, the Remove Monster Kill Cam mod. Again, very descriptively titled. It gets rid of the forced cam flyovers and drama shots of a monster kill, instead replacing them, optionally, with a super cool slow-mo finisher cam. It hides the UI, also optional, and gives you a controllable amount of slow motion for a controllable amount of time. Or you can just not have the slow motion at all and get right to the carving, just have the hunt end on the last hint and not have any interruption at all. Some people really like that as well. But I like the stylistic slow-mo effect of a kill. At least I like it a lot more than I like the flyover cameras, which are very sort of interruptive and disruptive to the flow of the feel. When the hunt ends, this goes snaps to that camera. Oh, I guess the hunt's over. But this is nice. It gives you a nice smooth ramp into the slow-mo, and it looks amazingly cool, action movie style stuff, or sometimes it just looks funny as well. But it's more entertaining than the default either way. It's another one I hope Capcom pinches, but I'm not holding my breath for that either. Be nice though. Now, both the slow-mo mod and the UI mod have a dependency on a separate mod, or a mod support tool, really, called RE Framework. It's a tool that's been used on a whole fistful of other different Capcom games running on the same engine family. Its interface is pretty bare bones, but it's an easy install. The next mods, however, don't even need that much. They're all basically a single file to drag and drop into the game directory. Modding does not get easier than this. One of my other pet peeves with Monster Hunter Rise, somewhat alongside the UI size and clutter, is how visually busy it gets in a hunt, especially in multiplayer hunts, which I love doing. With 3 other hunters, each with a dog or cat of their own, and your own dog or cat of your own, having all their weapon effects exploding all over your screen, it can get really extremely hard to even see the monster sometimes in the most intense moment, especially on the smaller sized monsters. And in a game that relies upon you being able to see what the monster is doing, so you can try to predict its next action, so you can find your openings for the attack and do the most damage as quickly as possible, it's a bit friggin' annoying not to be able to see the monster through all the explosions and sparks and blood and slashes. Enter the Sparks Removed mod. Again, a dry and descriptive title that makes the spark effects invisible, while leaving behind things like the crit and negative crit colors, the blood splashes and the like, so there's still enough left to make combat feel bombastic, impactful, and sort of anime-like, but it clears up just enough visual noise to make it all a bit nicer and easier to deal with. There's other mods that do even more, but this is my starting point. I don't want to make all the effects disappear, because that would just make combat feel a bit unimpactful, I think, a bit dull looking. But there's also a partner mod to this one, from the same person, most bowgun sparks removed as well, which does pretty much the same thing, but for the ranged weapons on top of the melee. There's a bit more I'd put on top of this mod as well, but I'll come back to that at the end of the video. The last mod I wanted to showcase though, and this is where we dip into the hey, that's a bit cheaty territory, which to each their own morality on this one. I always feel a bit skeevy cheating in games. I mean, if you don't want to play the game properly, why play the game at all kind of deal, but there are certain exceptions to that. So I did try out a mod which makes the raw meat you can buy from Rondine using Kimura points and replaces it with golden eggs, which you can then turn around and resell to the merchant for big fat piles of spending money. Now, there are easy ways to grind for coin in this game. I've made a video about it, as a matter of fact, but I, like a few who've played hundreds upon hundreds of hours on Switch already, sometimes feel like going through certain aspects of the grind game all over again is a bit annoying. So, while I've no intent to go full-on cheater and just use stuff like the charm editors and whatnot that sleazy cheaty cheats use, stacking up my bank account to save me some mining runs is something I'm willing to compromise on, I think. I still feel a bit wiggly about it though, I don't know. And you could use this in combination with a different mod that gives you all possible legal items in the standard market to save you even more grind for some basic materials and stuff, but for me, that is a step too far. That's cutting out too much of the game as far as I'm concerned. But what is your line in the sand when it comes to cheaty style mods? And how do you feel about boob physics, by the way? Let me know in the down below. And also let me know what mods you are hoping and waiting for. For me, next on my list is a mod that reduces but doesn't eliminate the effects from piercing ammo from bowguns and bows. This is what I was just talking about that I'd get to. There's mods that vanish these already, much like the Sparks mods I was talking about, but I still want to see these effects from the piercing ammo. I mained bow on my PC character, and it's extremely useful to be able to see that stuff so you can make sure you're doing the best possible DPS and getting a line down the monster nice and clean. But if I could tone it down by like, I don't know, 60% or so in size and brightness and intensity, just make them more transparent or something, it'd be a lot less visually chaotic, especially in multiplayer hunts, especially with multiple ranged hunters. We're also still waiting on monster mods. Mods that wrap new skins and new models over existing skeletons, because I want to fight a Charizard over the bones of probably a Rathalos or something, I suppose. That'd be the best fit, right? Or a Beast Wars Megatron over the Diablos frame, just for giggles. Actually, you know what? Maybe an Anjanath would be a better fit for the OG Beast Wars Megatron, come to think of it, because, you know, the wings, the Diablos really don't fit that well, do they? I don't know. What do you think? What do you want? What do you want for mods? What's the funniest, what's the most joyful thing you can imagine? But on this score so far, what we have, as you've been seeing, are the first experiments in just simply painting over the existing textures. Like a mod that ups the bloody factor on monster damage, which I think I might give a go, because seeing the damage a bit more clearly is a fairly helpful thing. Or the one you've been looking at, the rather more comedic Winnie the Pooh mod. Hello, President of China. Did you ban my video in your country yet? Because Winnie the Pooh, you see. If you don't know why that's funny, then, I don't know, pay attention to the world or something. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. Thanks as always to the patrons scrolling up above there whose above and beyond support I rely on and love. Thank you very much. To the rest of you, thank you at least for making it to the end of the video. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.
Trade this for something.